Man, thank y'all for catching in, man, with another edition of Live on Sundays, man. It's your boy King Crowder back again, man. I want to thank everybody that can tune in. If you watch this on the playback, please let me know. Smash it in, get the subscribe button, man. I want to tell everybody that's a blessing. This week for me been a little rough, man. A little car accident, a little car situation, a little family drama, a little work drama, but we made it through, baby. And I think Sunday is the moment where you reflect. Sunday is that period where you plan out your next week coming up to you, when you think about what you got going on. So I like to use my Sundays as a time, man, to talk to people, to tell you what's on my spirit, what's on my mind. And I think topics of discussions that are important that we see in the lexicon. Today's discussion really came powerful to me, man, because, when you deal and work with kids, a lot of the times they'll bring subjects to you that you don't think about that are very influential in their culture and what they bring about. So today is going to be more of a think piece. And when I talk about think piece, I like to break it all the way down in a way that you can understand and know in the future. So let's start it all off right now. The word think piece, man. So when you hear that word think piece, right? Let's start off with the beginning, because I want you to understand. When you see the word think piece, remember that is a discussion when you're using articles, journals, personal discussions, and fact-based situations when you want to shape and form an ideal situation. I want us to break down when you see something and how, from a historical and current perspective, how it is influencing us right now. Today's think piece will be on 304 music, culture, and the influence it has from a historical perspective. So when you hear the word think piece, I want you to understand it is a deep analysis into a subject, breaking it down brick by brick in ways that you can understand. So if you've seen the thumbnail, we're going to refer to it as 304 music, 304 culture. But I'm going to break it down to you how you see it in a 20-year mark throughout history, specifically American history. Again, if you're new to the channel, shout out to it, man. My name is King Crowder. I want to thank you. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. Make sure you smash the like button. That lets me know that you want to engage. And make sure you holler at me. Leave me something so I can definitely play it back to you. I want to thank everybody that can't watch it while we going in and taking a deep dive into the subject. Now, when we always hear these words, y'all, we do it for the culture. This is for the culture. Remember, culture is related to ideas, customs, social behaviors, and things that relative go into a subject. This can mean food. This can mean tone of language. This can mean accent. This can mean how we discuss things with each other. All of these attributes break down one's culture. For example, New York City culture, fast-paced, heavy tone, aggressive, talk to you a certain way. Alabama's culture, close-knit, family-oriented, God, families, and belief systems. West Coast culture, innovative, larger cities, big spaces, different type of weather, different type of understandings, and different type of life forms. Each place you go into has its own unique culture. So when you think of how culture influences us, remember, it could be from behavior, a social, a mental, and a spiritual standpoint. So when we're talking about the exposure that we see right now, 304 culture, right? You got to understand that we see these type of culture events happen every so often. So when people say, why is this music so controversial? Why is this culture so damning? And why do you think right now the current state of music and hip hop we see is so damaging to us? People don't know that in the 1920s, during the roaring 20s, there was also a culture going around of a culture shift. Remember, this is the first time we consume entertainment and mass media. This is the first time we've seen low marriage rates. This is the first time we've seen a type of particular dancing. This is the first time we've seen a cultural norm shift. In the 1920s, which was known as the roaring 20s, if you learn through history, this is where we began to expose ourselves to mass media, entertainment, different type of sources, outcomes, and away from the religious undertones we were taught. You will see these cultural norms shift throughout history where you can see the scope of landfall going around. Let's keep going. If you go fast forward through history, you remember this period that you learned where they had these women known as the flappers. The flappers were a group of women, I'm about to show you a picture of them, that dressed provocatively for their time period. If you remember these images in school, they were the women you seen with drinking with beers, dancing provocatively, having undertones, having personality, speaking for themselves, and going against the grain. The 1920s and the 1930s where it had their own 304 movement. From a historical context, you must understand this takes place over a 20-year run, and then you see it begin to dig off and slow down throughout the period. So let's begin. The 1920s, we saw the Roaring 20s to the Royal Flappers movements. As we begin to grow and see this again, we have war, we have some type of battle going on internally, and you begin to see a slowdown of this momentum and this progression. Let's keep moving on. Now, if you go to the 1960s, 1960s was at the height of the sexual liberation movements in this country. The 19th century, 1960s was the free love. Remember when you heard free love, smoke, drink, progressive freedom, eat what you want, drink what you want, think what you want? That started at the height of the 1960s. In the 1960s, you guys understand, and this is when you began to see a shift away from marriage rates. This is when you began to see the shift of going away saying that you get married first, and you began to see the shift in how we think about datings and relationships. There was no such thing as the word dating prior to this era. You got to think about it. And this time in American history, you literally met someone down the street or locally from you, and you got married. You got married, you had children, you have a family. These cultural musics and genres spurred from the start of the century. So as we began to see these growth in these movements and how they began to grow, you began to see different outcomes. So when we hear the word, what's going on with this generation? How do they not value marriage? How do they not value respect? You must understand this is a common theme we see rinse, wash, and repeat. Why is it such a big deal? I'm going to tell you why it's such a big deal. We got to understand that we are currently in right now another shift of cultural norms and expectations. Remember, we hit the 1920s, the 1960s, the 70s, and now we are in the 304 culture that we see currently in American society. Do we know who is the founder of that culture? I'm going to give her a credit. Queen Bee. Little Kim was an artist that you may not know that got her notoriety from getting ownership in music from Notorious B.I.G. Most people don't understand that Little Kim was a facet of B.I.G.'s mind. How he thought women should act when you speak on records. Biggie literally initiated that outcome. He literally said what should be going on, how this movement should be spurned, how it should be talked about, and what it should be discussed. Biggie notarized Little Kim to let her know, you are a facet of my imagination. There was no such thing as this type of woman in music before Little Kim started. Most people have no idea when Little Kim started her movement, speaking of her wave, there was no other woman that spoke provocatively, spoke very graphic in her lyrics. There was no such thing as champion in that type of energy. After Little Kim began to get progress, her records began to get spun more. People began to love what she was standing for. Then you began to see a down south version of her known as Trina. When Trina came into, Trina was a little bit more ratchet, a little bit more in her records. But you got to understand, she championed in a new era of new type of hip hop and cultural norms. Trina issued in how the new woman speaks, how they carry themselves, how they talk on records, what they need in a sexual way. Trina issued in to allow women to speak recklessly and provocatively on records. So as we see this cultural norm, let's catch it back again. Little Kim was the first enhancement series. Then you begin to see Trina rolling her back. And then we begin to see the second generation of this new cultural norm movement known as Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj, you got to think of her time, was the first one that had the certain look that enhanced the way she spoke. Nicki Minaj, if you look at her from a historical perspective, broke down the new generation of female. She broke down how you're supposed to look, how do you catch guys, when you get a guy, he's supposed to spend a amount of money on you. All the guys you meet have to serve a purpose. We all know Nicki's songs. We all know Nicki's lyrics. Every iteration of woman we see from now, speaking of 304 rap, is a undertone of the great Nicki Minaj. Now, even though in her personal life she chose to live differently, you can see iterations of that founding storm, of that new wave coming in. Nicki Minaj literally championed that era, and we see all of the women building upon that. Why is it such a big deal? This is such a big deal, y'all, because now when you see people talk about these type of things, they have no idea where the newer generation of women get this type of ideology from. They have no idea why these new women are so bold, why they tend to do things on an open platform, why they tend to be so risky when speaking and having these type of events. But what they do not realize is that it's already been there. The seeds have been sown. Right now, we're getting the fruits of our labor. So when you see the women that I will show you in the previous and current videos, how they're acting, it's already been happening. These women are just acting the way their predecessors and adding fire to the flame. No matter if you agree or disagree with it, you must understand the point of ordering, where it's going from, and where it currently is. Currently, right now, we are seeing a state of, some people do have to use the word degenerate. What I'm seeing is that the state of let's overdo each other level of hip hop among the women. Who can be the nerdiest? Who can be the nastiest? Who can be the most degrading? Who can say the most reckless things on air and get away with it? That is the current iteration of hip hop form. Now, I'm going to give you a perfect example. I'm going to show you right now the top 15 female artists right now in this picture. And I want you to see what they all have in common, right? So let's go ahead and share the screen right quick. Right now, when you look at the current form of hip hop artists, I want you to see they all have a certain look, certain energy, certain level of way they speak and carry themselves. Now, if you look at the top hip hop list as you go down, I want you to pay attention to something. All of them have what kind of look? A certain facial feature, a certain way they rap, a certain way they talk, and a certain way they carry themselves. There is literally a movement to position them to be some type of way. They all must fit a certain mold. They do not want women varying from that. They literally want the same type of artist to be repeated, say the same type of sound, and the same type of energy. The reason why you must understand this is controlled from a different perspective is because if you see these women, why do they all look the same? Why do they all sound the same? Why do all their records have degenerate, a kind of nasty, kind of culturally impulsive sayings? Why is that? Just think about it. I want you to get on Google right now like I'm doing. That's all I'm doing, y'all. Scrolling down your top 20 women in hip hop. And I want you to see what you see. Just look and see what you see. I believe a picture's worth 1,000 words. You don't have to say anything when you look at the images. See what you see. Do you see any semblance of our Black women that we've ever seen in hip hop industry before? Do you see any semblance of women, how they carry themselves out in public? Do you see your mothers, your sisters? Do you see anybody that resembles anything that you may see when you step out in this world? No, you don't see that. What you see is a systematic movement to have hip hop be a certain way. The creativity is virtually gone. The creativity is showing right now that we only want a certain type of woman look, imagery, or saying to be produced. When you think about this from a perspective, they are really channeling in the 304 music. Artists, A&Rs are responsible for this, right? But what they are not teaching, what they should be responsible for, is how all of this movement, all of this behavior is short term. None of this has longevity. None of this has timeless music added to it. None of this has the ability for anybody to want to repeat this in the next 5 years. I'm going to show you a video, and I believe a video is worth 1,000 words. And when you see this video, I don't want you to judge the young ladies in it. I just want you to listen, and I want you to hear how they refer to themselves, not how I refer to them. And I think this video right here will highlight everything that I'm talking about. Again, make sure you hit the like button, y'all. Make sure you stay dialed in with me, man. It's so good to be live on Sundays again. So good to see everybody. I hope you had a phenomenal week. But let's chime in. Listen.
Performing at the BET Awards. We finna take over the world. We finna be performing at the BET Awards, the Oscars, Planet Fitness, Popeyes, Planned Parenthood.
They funny. Let me play it again. Because I don't believe most people caught that. Let's play it again.
We finna take over the world. We finna be performing at the BET Awards, the Oscars, Planet Fitness, Popeyes, Planned.
Where do you see these type of women at in real life? I got hood family members. I got hood people in my family that act, and we all got hood people on both sides. I got family members that embrace themselves. But this type of culture right here, when do you see that at? I don't think none of it is real. All of this has to be a marketing campaign. Every woman that sees this type of thing has to know it's short term, right? None of this culture, the way you rap, the way you speak, has any long-term sustainability. Look at these women, y'all. Not bashing them as a person, but just look at them. Look at it. Look at how they respond to each other. Look at what they're promoting. Look at the quality of music. Forget the people, y'all. I never try to judge the person because you don't know what that young lady may be going through. You don't know what that person may be going through. But I want you to understand what is the psychological makeup of when you see women that get on stage, perform, right? Look a certain type of way, highlight a certain type of thing, and carry themselves in a certain type of context. I always say to you, y'all, a video or a snippet is worth 1,000 words. I want to show you another video of a snippet on how teachers have to control their students when they're having live interactive sessions. I'm gonna pause this video and I'm gonna show you another one. This is real time, y'all, that I want y'all to see how teachers have to control and get interactions from their students. All right, pay attention.
How I get my students' attention.
If you see me and you're trying to see what's up, if your pencil sharpened, if you're ready to go to science.
How I get my students' attention.
If you see me and you're trying to see what's up, if your pencil sharpened, if you're ready.
I think that's super funny by the teacher. Shout out to her. But if you've ever heard that song, what business does young kids, high school, elementary, any of them have listening to that type of stuff? That they will know to respond to it, to know to refocus to it, and to know in an academic setting that's appropriate. Right now, we are at that period, like I always speak of, y'all, when we got to recycle, rinse, repeat, that we see behavior being done that right now is completely gone too far to the other way. We have young ladies, like I said, speaking openly in provocative attire. You know, they're entertainers. I have nothing against them. But we got to know that this 304 culture right now is almost getting to the babies. Kids are literally in classroom hearing that song, the Ski Wee song, right? And they have to respond to it to make themselves be quiet. Think about that for a second. If you heard something like that and you was growing up and you had to respond to that song to make you be quiet, that ain't good. It's not good because it gets to that point where it's like, wow, these kids don't even understand that a lot of this is not even reality. And if you're not living in reality, when you get in this real world and you have to deal with reality type of people, when you have to deal with people that live in reality and force it on you when you're not ready, that's when very bad things can happen to you. That's when unfortunate ways on how you deal with people, how you have traumatic situations happen, and you don't know how to deal with it. Let's go ahead and break it down, man. When you hear the word trauma, y'all, it's a very common word, right? But I like to break down my definitions, right? Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Something personal like a death of a child, a physical injury, something that had to have a mental scar in your mind. When somebody has a traumatic situation, the brain literally is scarred by it. Greatest example. If you have been in a car accident and you no longer have a fear of driving at a certain wavelength, that trauma will be with you the rest of your life to cause you to never replicate that incident again. When traumatic incidents happen to you in your real life, they affect how you move from ever your place of experience. Trauma is not something that ever should be laughed upon. It should ever be heard upon. The reason why we got to mention that such of these traumatic things happen to us in the current state of rap culture, when you hear the word trauma, that means fun. I want you to think about this for a second. To say that you want a guy that's fun, translation, you want a guy that has traumatic situations like you have. Because if you want a guy, as they refer to in the 304 culture, that is boring, that is the guy that is healthy. A healthy person is a boring person. A fun person usually has a lot of traumatic experiences. If you are referred to as boring, not as exciting, that means your healthy lifestyle is not compatible to somebody that is currently living an unhealthy lifestyle. So let's take it down again. People that have traumatic experience happen to them tend to not understand how it influences them long term. It influences them by the music they listen to, by the things they think about, by the people they find attractive. Familiar spirits are attracted to each other. There is no way I can ever have a conversation or relationship with a woman that is untamed. There's no way. There's nothing we can talk about. Your traumatic situation and me don't have the same wavelength. So if you meet a guy that is healed, I wouldn't say the word healed. Let me back that up. If you meet a guy that is on his way, that has done his work and is healthy, there's no way that somebody that's filled with trauma, you could deal with them. Because your situation and their wavelength will not work. So I want all men and women to hear that. If you need someone that is fun or exciting, that means you have trauma. Fun and exciting means trauma. Healthy usually goes with boring. That means you have some triggers that you need to handle. Learn these words when you hear them. Shout out to my baby, therapist, all this type of stuff. She always throw these words at me. You have trauma. When you have the word triggers, let's go and look at the word triggers. Triggers by definition is a stimuli that elicits a reaction. A trigger could be used as something that worsens you. A trigger for you could be as simple as having clothes on the floor. You're triggered by that. A trigger could be somebody that taps their thumb on the thumb. That means you are triggered by that. The littlest things can entice an extreme reaction out of you. That all should tell you in your mind, this person is in an unhealthy state. Why is all this relevant, King Crowder? Why are you mentioning all this crap, man? I hear you mentioning triggers, trauma, 304 rap. Why is this all rapping? Because we are normalizing this behavior. We are normalizing these things being common. We are normalizing these type of events happening live and direct. We are normalizing people going through traumatic events and making it seem like our current state of Black American culture is that, when it's the furthest thing from the truth. Many of us come from good families. Most of us come from good homes. A lot of us come from homes where it is not cool to be on that type of time. My parents didn't have a lot of money. We weren't affluent or rich, but we had love. We had respect. We had honor. We had dedication. We had hardworking blue-collar families. Name me many Black students, Black Americans that don't have that. Name me. The whole gangsterism, we're all thugged out, that is not the normal way we grow up. It's not. Not saying some don't go through that, but I don't know many gangster born children. You have the exceptions to the rules. I'm not saying they don't happen, but to make that the standard of norm, I'm going against that. It is so many good people that are trying to go under the umbrella of 304 culture that is sexually promiscuous, that has this type of energy. We have to resist that type of branding, y'all. That marketing, that label is not the standard of the culture. You must understand, those traumatic events by few do not replace us all. Those triggers that they do have do not go for us all. So when you hear these type of words, you should push back on that. Yo, I'm not influenced by what they triggers they got going on. That is something that that individual person has. Don't make it a standard. Your trauma is usually something that you have to deal with and learn how to handle it. Your traumas don't go away. I'm a poor kid. Me wanting never to feel inadequate with money will never not go away. Me not feeling like that my father sometimes in his life, because we had financial problems, makes me over want to produce for my wife. Me not never want to have that feeling of being less than will never go away. Now, I have to learn how to tame it. I have to learn how to better handle it, but not talking about it doesn't help. I got to learn that as a man, even though I may have our financial shortcomings at times, that don't denigrate me anyway. That don't make my father less of a man. That don't make the hardworking man less of a man. It makes you a person. Being vulnerable, being honest, and being willing to talk about those things will not hurt you. The reason why I think all this is so important, y'all, is that we are at a current state in the culture right now that they're trying to push that is 304 culture that is almost blending with real life 304 culture. I'm going to throw this at you, y'all. If you had to look right now on a social certain app that I'm going to show you, would you believe that there was really a really simple way for your children to have access to crazy information? What do you mean by that? I mean, right now, I'm going to show you content that all you have to do is search on a search bar that your children and other people have access to. This information is so relevant because back in 1960, I'm a reader, by the way. Sorry, keep switching gears. One of my favorite authors that I had to read from was a gentleman named Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim had a book I read maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He had a book that he talks about his life as being a pimp, right? He was a pimp back when the height of pimp culture. But the one thing that this brother wrote that was so incredible was that every woman he ever met was due to the bad relationship he had with his mother. Iceberg Slim had a problem with his mother that he never internally dealt with. And what he spoke about was that every woman he met in his future tense was a reflection of his mother. Think about him. He was a pimp turned into a writer. But what he did was chronologically break down how all those situations had a lasting impact on him. Those were his triggers. I spoke on my triggers. Iceberg Slim triggers were women that he dealt with because his mother was not a good mother to him. Once we learn how to decode our own traumas, triggers, issues, the pushback we get from a certain amount of culture will not have as strong of an effect on us as it once had. Why do I reference Iceberg Slim? Number one, everyone go read his book. Incredible author. I think what he talks about and what he broke down in the book was simply incredible. I think you should read that. He broke down how he had to learn how to deal with his problems without therapy. Remember, at this time, it was taboo to talk about your problems around this time. So he had to learn how to self-segregate and learn how to interact with him. Man, we have gotten pretty far in my programming, man. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to go get some water, fill myself up. And I want to take into the subject how you will see the culture being influenced long-term. So I'm going to take a quick break, come right back, and I'm going to use extended stem on Iceberg Slim, and I'm going to break down how right now we are seeing 3 or 4 rap culture and 3 or 4 actual culture being blended into one. And most people have no idea how it is happening or what's going on. So again, I'm going to come back with you in 5 minutes. Stay tuned. Enjoy the vibes, man. It is your boy, King Crowder. Be right back. Oh man, feels good to be back, y'all. I'm sorry, had to take that break again, man. Feels so good to be back to my peoples. Welcome again, y'all. King Crowder back again, live on Sunday. If you're watching this on the playback, make sure you smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. I didn't give y'all an update in the first half. I meant to do that to y'all. My bad on my peoples. Excuse me. The second installment of the book, Things My Parents Should Taught Us, is in the third editing stage. Right now, the book is looking like 115 pages. Written out, have the research, everything is done and complete. Right now, I'm in the final editing stage. I got to do a photo shoot for it. I want to try to do a slight promo run, man. Feel so excited to have another installment of information that I believe is extremely important and beneficial to people out here that we should learn and talk about. It's a reflection back over the past years of my life that I wish everybody could know. We're always taught in this new environment what's important. What I'm giving to you for a low price, maybe 29, 25, is telling you what's really important. We always talk about school, money, but really family is at the heart of everything that we're going to do. I am, and I try to label myself the familypreneur because I believe we have all those topics about money, everything else. But if your home life is not in order, man, you will not be out here, be able to fight these battles and win these wars. Number two, most important thing I'm working on right now, man, self-educating myself how to use the channel, YouTube, everything else. As you can see, small little edit, small growth. But I'm working on the current script right now, y'all, about the Black Panther Party. I believe that story because most people are really miseducated. That's the lie for next week on Black history. We learn a lot about African history. But as far as the history that happened for Black Americans in this country, it is so severely undertaught. I'm working on it diligently because I believe that it's something that needs to happen. I'm also doing Toastmasters in my spare time. I recommend everyone turn into something like that. It teaches you how to publicly speak, articulate yourself, and I'm just getting myself out there right now, man. So I'm literally learning this from scratch. I'm using all the platforms and modems I can, but I want you to know actively what I'm working on, what you should be working on. Remember, work harder on yourself because no one else is going to. Invest in yourself because no one else is going to. So make sure you invest in your family, your life, and whatever the other events you got going on. Let's chime it back in, man. I believe that as we kept going, we went over Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim mentioned how his triggers that he had in his life were due to issues that he had with his mother. And the one issues that most people don't know, he was a pimp, right? He discussed disturbing experiences that he had with his mother. Disturbing experiences he had was chronic distrust. He had came from an unloving family. He experienced betrayal. He had to learn how to overcome these in his relationship. Why is it such a big deal? We've all heard the 5 love languages, right? Time, money, communication, words of affirmation, works. What you do not know that most people have no idea, those 5 love languages are what you were neglected much as a child. What you were neglected as a child come into your adulthood and turn into your 5 love languages. I'm going to give you this the greatest example. My family never really had money, all right? But I was raised in a loving, fulfilling home. I had a lot of siblings, brothers and sisters. My parents provided for us the best possible environment that they could, but they didn't have the ability to purchase or give us the best things. What is something in my adult life that I cherish and seek after the most? Gifts. Not big money items, but small things that you buy me that make me feel appreciated. My wife knows. Love me the way I need how to be loved. She buys me small gifts, small trinkets. You have to learn that what you were neglected or did not get as a child, you seek the most as an adult. So in your adult life, as you grow, you learn that the things that I was not learning, what's up, Cubas? Hola, senor. Hola, senor. What I did not get as a child, I want the most in my adult life. I did not get it. So the things that I did not get, I seek the most for. So as you learn this type of things and learn what motivates you, you learn how you can do better and you learn how to stimulate yourself in this adult world. So let's keep going on. As we speak on our culture, right now I want you to see as the current state of American culture, what people will do to get attention, to understand that attention means currency and value, and to know that whatever they want to do is in hopes that one thing will help them on the attention market. Remember, attention is always short term, ladies and gentlemen. It's never long term. So we have this young woman. If you do not familiar with her, not her name is Suki Han. She is a certain type of artist, right? That does not have a large fan base due to the provocative music that she sells. But she's invited places and does things while she's invited places to do low behavior like this. No disrespect to her as a woman, but I want y'all to see in real time what type of behavior is championed by certain people and when it's embraced by others.
It's ghetto. I want to leave old earth. It's ghetto.
Scratch and sniff rappers need to be banned from the public. I just know that carpet is filthy, and
the brother is right, but let's go ahead and go back to the video. I wouldn't expect him to pop up and say something that quick. I want you to see.
It's ghetto.
Remind you, y'all. This young lady is at a award ceremony. We've all been to award ceremonies, right? We've all been to certain type of venues, certain type of shows. Imagine you were at a world ceremony or a venue and somebody busts open like that. I'm not trying to laugh at the person, but I want you to think about how crazy this looks. You are at a show, an active reward event, and you see someone doing this type of behavior. Number one, is it real? My opinion, it's all scripted. Tell me the person you meet of this culture and ilk in real life. Now, there are some hood rats out there. Shout out to them. But at this level, I've never personally met a Suki Hana level in my life. That culture that she spews, I don't see it anywhere. I've lived in Philly, DC, many places, traveled all across this gate country. That level seems like a push. If I had to guess something, I'm going to throw it out there. She comes from a stable home, a stable background, a family that loves her, and she's doing all this for money. She's not a bad-looking girl, but this behavior, it ain't normal. It seems forced. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see something that's organic, nothing about this seems organic. Everything seems forced. Everything seems as I'm doing this for an attention. I'm not doing this because who I am. Listen to her speak. She's a mother, number one. So when you have that motherhood gene in you, even if you're not the greatest mother, you still know how to carry yourself in certain situations. But if you look at it, what she's trying to infuse in 304 culture, in currently a culture with women, is that money, luxury, and freedom comes to you when you act like this. What she's showing is that if you carry yourself in a certain way, you get rewarded. You get rewarded from doing bad things publicly. I'm going to show you how many times in the current culture, state of culture, we see when women are rewarded from doing bad things publicly. I'm not really a TV show guy. My wife keeps me in the loop with this current stuff and current shows. But whenever I watch some of these women TV events, I am blown away by the amount of women that get rewarded for acting bad in public. This right here is a casting call. Casting call is an audition when you potentially get put on a show. For a show, I believe it was called Bad Girls Club, whatever she was telling me. In this little brief clip, y'all, I love TikTok because I believe it's a short modem that hits its message. This short clip is going to break down how women are promoted to act badly in public. Remind you, this is a casting event to get on a show when you act badly. I want you to see right now how certain states of the culture are infusing that to make it seem like that is a cool thing. Let's watch. In that little bit of time, did you see how they were coming to an audition for a show that was going to be on Zeus? Zeus is a network on cable TV. Let me get this straight. It is a show on cable TV that shows that money, direction, getting status will get you there. But I want you to understand how accessible this information is. I never want to be that guy in the clouds yelling, I want to be back like it was back in the day. But I want you to think about something, y'all. And this goes hard to my parents, people, family members. Think about how accessible this information is to children. If you have a child right now, they can get on TikTok, which is a free downloaded platform, type in Bad Girls Club Miami, and see this type of information. That's all I did. I went to the search bar, hashtag this. This information is easily acceptable. I'm going to blow your mind what else is easily acceptable on these apps and platforms. These apps and platforms have a lot more information that me or you may not even be aware of all the time. And I'm going to give you an example of a young lady that works in a certain profession, the oldest profession in the world, breaking down how easy it is to advertise yourself. Not only advertise yourself, but how to. Think about this. You have the 304 culture and music influence going viral, speaking about it. Now you have the 304 of the internet breaking it down, and you're seeing in real time how they have influence on each other. You have young ladies telling other young ladies the positive side of what you got to do to be inside of this 304 culture. You might not believe me, but I believe demonstration is better than conversation. So let's go.
What's up, y'all? And this is another part on things I wish I was told as a 304 when I first started. Invest into your hair, nails, outfits, etc. It can. I'm not saying you have to dress like that all the time, but have it like for profile pictures and for your pictures to advertise yourself. So I'm gonna just put like 1 or 2 pictures of how I look. As y'all can see, boom. Don't be scared to get rooms. Personally, back in the day, like when I first started, getting cheap rooms was cool. There was girls who had got expensive rooms, but now since the game is so like tight and there's so many new people, I would say now invest into a room that you have to spend at least 100 and up. Like if you're not spending 100 and up in that room, then most likely, not saying you still won't get clients, but just be ready for certain things to happen. Learn the busy hours, learn the traffic hours, learn what time you need to be up, rested, time you need to post.
This is available on TikTok. This is available for any young lady to see, any young man to watch. Remember, y'all, that culture's always been around. But this desensitized, this open, this easy, I was blown away to see how this information is readily available from all type of environments. The reason why this is such a big deal, y'all, imagine how many kids can see this. Imagine how many parents do not know that this is available on their social media platforms with the children. Imagine how many parents don't even know when their kids have their phone at night, they see something like this, they may like something like this, and they might not even know what is going on. Look how readily available this type of information is available to us. Isn't this dangerous? The young lady made a choice. I get it. I'm never going to chastise her. I do believe everybody has a placement in life that they choose. Respect her. Hopefully she's safe and everything she chooses to do. But I want you to think about this for a second. If this is that information that she can just post, tell very vivid details and information, What else is on there that's accessible? What else is that easy to get? What else is that easy to talk about? This information right here that's sensitive and private is open to everybody. I can get on TikTok and type in 304 tips. This video pops up. This video pops up. Think about that for a second. They are giving you a how-to guide on how to get money and how to make different types of outcome throughout this. And the reason why they're targeting young girls, most young girls don't even realize that they're pushing that narrative on you in multiple ways. But we got to make sure that we show that it is short term. I'm going to show you how hard they're pushing it, y'all. Right now, this is a young artist coming up. One of the top artists right now, known as Flo Milli. One of her squad and gang of people. Beautiful, you ladies. But I want you to see how the music is infused to promote different accuracy in groups of women. Let's watch.
Heard them bitches say they outside. What he at? We gon' slide. Yeah. Running through his bag like it's mine. Said I love him. I was lying. Got a whole squad full of dimes. Who bums? Not mine. Bitch call my phone by the nigga. I got her mad. I decline.
Let's do it again.
Heard them bitches say they outside. What he at? We gon' slide. Yeah. Running through his bag like it's mine. Said I love him. I was lying. Got a whole squad full of dimes. Who bums? Not mine. Bitch call my phone by the nigga. I got her mad. I decline.
Am I the only one blown away by this? If I'm an old guy talking, I understand. But man, this is very shocking. Man, to know that this information is so accessible that people can get it, is eye-opening. It really is. It's eye-opening to see that these ladies have this much influence and you see them doing it in multiple ways. I'm going to say it again, y'all. It's dangerously easy to get. It looks fun. It looks exciting. But we got to understand all this is short term, y'all. How many people know the actual effects of what happens when you get caught up in a real life situation? The short-term results have long-term consequences. What I want to show you right now is that we don't show consequences as much, but I do. One thing I love that my pops did, y'all. Son, demonstration is better than conversation. You don't think fat meat is greasy. You need to see what's going to happen to you if you keep going down the road that you go. We need the scared straight shows. We need this type of events. So right now, I'm going to show you what happens in real time when you do get caught up.
Left.
So, and you know he just dug him, right? Right? He just dug him up, right? Y'all arrested me for prostitution, but he just dug him. He owes me money. You owe me money now. That's what you do.
Take a seat. I would have never touched you without a pair of gloves.
Yeah, he did. He touched me. He said it felt good. Out of town, thugging with my rounds, my booty brown.
You got out of your cuffs?
I had to. That shit was red. This whole situation right now was with my water flow. All right, my need to be wet. All right, I got money to make. I need to go back out on the streets. All right.
Can you just calm down?
Excuse me, sir.
Calm down. Just
calm
relax.
Down.
Yeah.
Nah, I ain't calming down because I'm missing out on money.
Freaking
money. Oh, y'all got the big boy. All right, y'all got a dog.
It's not even for you, so relax.
Oh, okay.
Why are you taking everything so offensive?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe this, man. Yo.
Are those service animals?
Are you an animal?
Keep the puppy foot away, please.
Loud.
Or like
in my ass.
Like
he owe me money and you owe me money.
Like we don't have.
Yeah, all y'all owe me money. Y'all need to take these handcuffs.
Where's
Yeah. Take these handcuffs off right now.
I can get them off you, girl.
Yeah, take them off.
Sometimes a video is worth 1,000 words. Thank you, D. That wasn't Flo Milli. That was Kala. Okay. Yeah, I do not own the copyrights to his music, y'all. My last video. I'm sorry. but I guess I got the artists mixed up. You know, y'all, I don't want to say the racist comment, but they just look similar. But that video, going back to it, shows you that there is consequences to that behavior, y'all. There's consequences to it. It is consequences to being that lifestyle and choosing to be that way. Number one, life is going to get real. It's going to get real. When you think that you're going to trick, get over, be inadequate, take advantage of, steal, and manipulate people, consequences will come from it. Nobody takes 304 seriously, y'all. I'm going to give y'all the man perspective. You are fun. Fun. Fun girls do not get long-term relationships. Fun girls get fun times. That's it. Fun girls get a certain amount of things, but they don't get money. Wives get money. Wives get taken care of. Wives get their phone bill, get their mortgages paid. Not fun girls. I know the mirage most people tell you is that I'm going to do this and get my bills paid. That's not true. Think about it. If you're leveraging what your body is, after that leverage is gone, it won't be as valuable. The only true sense of getting taken care of financially, protection, providing, provision is through families. Right now, this think piece is meant to highlight how the 304 movement has an expiration date. Remember, like I mentioned earlier, y'all, about 20 years, 15 years is the run, then it dies off. We've seen it happen multiple times throughout history. It comes and goes. Right now, we are at that mid-apex point. Because right now, we have an abundance of degenerate behavior, and we're seeing it to a level we've never seen. What's going to happen now? The market will overcorrect itself. We will see that type of behavior go down drastically. Other black women are beginning to push back because that is not black women, y'all. That's degenerate behavior. I'm never going to respect our sisters, my mother, my wife like that. That does not represent the view of black women. It does not. That's different. That's different. We have to understand they are in their own category. Wives and long-term relationships will still last over the test of time. You got to understand, y'all, long-term relationships will outweigh anything. I will not put this current movement on black women. It's not on y'all. I'm married to a black woman. I have black sisters. I came from a black mother. Bigly black, as they all say. But right now, the height of this movement is in its apex. The 304 rap, social, and big culture is on the way down. But while it's on the way down, the way that we can bury it even more is to show the consequences, is to educate our young women on why families are so needed, is to incentivize marriage, is to promote families being the key indicator to all type of freedom. Deeper Divine says something impactful again. Let's keep it real. They get trinkets. They don't get homes, cars, and put in the wheel. They get moments. That's true. When you get flued out, that is a moment. That is a moment of time that some people like to value. She is absolutely on fire. I agree with it, y'all. But I want y'all to understand that we need to separate that from them. That's not black women. I'm not going to put that on y'all. But while we see this 304 movement, especially music culture, die down, we need to bury it for good. Just like the freeload movement got buried down, this 304 culture, rap influence needs to get buried down. How can we bury it down? Number one, promote families. Number one, promote families. The state of the black family is in crisis mode. It's in crisis mode. We don't promote it. We don't socially say it needs to happen more than anything. Right now, we do have a singles culture. As a guy, I get it, man. It's fun going out. But what's more fun is coming home to your wife having a meal for you. What's more fun is having love from your friends. What's more fun is having a stable home in a relationship. We need to promote family-based initiatives lifestyle, music, and sing about love. Number 2, the culture will shift periodically. It is not a youth-based culture. The culture should be centered around families, and everything else should branch around to it. So once we see this shift go away from what we see about degenerate music, when the new shift comes in, make sure that we reposition the culture to shift and know that families must be at the top priority or main staple. Number 3, bring back shame, man. We need shame. Number 1 was going to really happen if you look throughout history. Something traumatic is going to happen. I don't want to put a war out there, but something big is going to happen that's going to force us to change all of our behavior. And once we are forced to change all of our behavior, we're then going to have to address all the elephants in the room. During war times, the clubs are closed. The bars are closed. Every aspect of the current society we have will not be free and available. Everything will have to change. We all will have to pivot. It's scary when you read about it, but literally, there will be none of that fun going around town. It will be work, factory, home. Work, families, home. We will have to revert back to it. We have been in a buzz going upward for a while. The market will have to recorrect itself, y'all. We didn't do it back when we had that housing crisis. Now, in the current one, this recession could be a depression. It could be one of the lowest periods in American history that we've had in the past 100 years. It's going to happen. We need to go down before we build back up. And finally, we have to understand that everybody can't be saved. I talk to all types of people, y'all. There are certain people, when they talk, I don't even go back and forth with them. If they are too far to be gone, let them be. If they are not trying to get on the current culture movement that we got, stop arguing with them. I talk to people that are receptive and that want more. If your main initiative is to think and believe the way you want to think and believe, I'll leave it alone. That's what we need to get to, that point where we are as a collective people. I speak to those that want more. That's all I want to say that will be so impactful in the future notes. So as we discussed today, you got to know that the cycle of culture that we see is current. It's common. It happens so often. Look at the historical context. In these think pieces, I wanted to use real life examples on what's going to happen in the future, currently, and what you can see 10 miles down the road. What I want you to do is that right now we're in the heart of something that happens every so often. We don't need to overreact. We do not need to overcorrect. What we need to do is see where we are and adjust accordingly. The next movement after this 304 movement is done and gone, it will be more of a conscious movement. The reason why is because we are going to something that will harm and affect our country drastically. Look at history. History repeats itself. That is just how it goes. Make sure you learn it. Make sure you read it. Make sure you invest in it so you know where it's going. It's your boy King Crowder, man. Back with another live. Back with another week wrap up and summary. Today was on my first ever think piece that I wanted to break down for you because I want to make sure you understand how important this information is. I believe that we all can learn something from each other. I believe that we all need to share information to each other. And today's live was on 304 culture and how it's influencing all of us, from the kids to the adults to the real life consequences to where we're going. All I'll ask y'all to do is please make sure you hit that like button. Like it. Comment, subscribe, and share the channel, man. Again, I got a lot of great stuff going on. I want to continue to make sure I'm doing, it's influencing people. Make sure you work harder on yourself than you do your job. Make sure that you celebrate yourself and your small collective wins. Make sure you check on your people, you call your families, and you tell those around you that you love them. Remember, check on your strong friends. They need support too. Check on the people that call you without you needing to call them. They need love too. It's your boy checking out for another live. If you watch on the playback, let me know this time. It's your boy checking back out. Peace. Let the music play. Let the band lead me out this way.